What's your name?
My name is Josh Haga.
When did you realize photography was more than just taking pictures for you?
Yeah, when I started wildlife photography, it was more me just focusing on like getting certain species and photos of that, and then once it became more of like an art form, I think once I realized it was more about telling a story than it was about like capturing a certain moment. So like more when it became storytelling rather than like, yeah, I guess just clicking a button.
How would you describe your style of photography, and how has it changed over time?
My style now, I try to paint the picture of like a whole scene, especially if there is like a person or an animal or whatever is like in the photo. I try to have the whole environment or the whole scene kind of being showcased. I think it used to be a lot more, I don't know, like just less focused on the whole picture and more just focused on specific things I thought were interesting. And now I try to like paint a bigger picture, if that makes any sense.
What parts of yourself show up in the photos that you capture?
I think hopefully the like slow moments that I'm experiencing when I'm in nature, I want to be reflected in my photos. It's like hopefully I hope that when people see my images, they can kind of feel a sense of what I was feeling in the field of like the peace and the calm that's in nature, or like a moment where an animal is like in a cool mountain range or in a forest or whatever it is, or even if it's like a lifestyle image of someone like experiencing a candid moment of like happiness, sadness, whatever it may be. Like I hope that side that I was experiencing during the moment like is reflected in my photo. Yeah.
How does photography help you notice God in the world around you?
I think usually it's all the little things that go into making a photo work. So, and what I mean by that is like to get an image of like, I don't know, a bird on a stick. It's not just like I'm sitting there, bird flies in, moves, boom. It's like a million little things, like the light has to come out, the clouds have to move, the weather has to be good, the wind has to be low, my camera has to be working, all the little things that go together and add up to make a moment happen to take a good photo always like blow my mind. I'm always like, wow, like God is definitely present in that, and he like cares and wants, I don't know. That's how I usually see it, like all the little things that have to go together for a photo to work out. Like I can't imagine that happening without God being like present. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like capturing a moment is a form of prayer or worship?
I think that it's not necessarily the animals or the nature of the people I'm taking photos of themselves that invoke prayer, but it's more of like knowing that they're created by God.
Yeah.
And then when I'm taking photos of that, seeing that and being like, whoa, I'm noticing this more than I would notice if I was just walking by this field or this forest or whatever. Like I'm taking the time to sit here and notice it and being like, wow, like I'm kind of just like reflecting almost, and also tangibly, like a lot of photography is just sitting there and waiting for your subject.
Yeah.
So
I would know. I've done a lot of shoots with you.
Yeah, it's just like sitting there and not much, like a lot of it is more reflective and being like, how do I want this to go? What's gonna happen? And then, yeah, so seeing that all come together is kind of like a prayerful experience, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think people sometimes forget that like you could get like 10 photos in and it's just 10 quick photos, but that actually took you like 8 hours.
Yeah.
So I guess in a way, photography has taught you a lot of patience as well.
Yes. Yeah, it's just like sitting there and you're like, okay, not much. Yeah.
Have you ever taken a photo that revealed something about God that you didn't expect at all in a shoot? Whether it was through wildlife or through capturing your friends on campus, because you do photography for Francis.
Yeah. That was, I didn't expect,
Like, was there something that like came up on a shoot that you're like, wow, like his art is so present in this, and you just weren't expecting it? Like, kind of like an unexpected moment where you're like, I have to capture it. It's so beautiful.
I love contrast a lot in photos, and what I mean by that is maybe tangibly like cool and warm colors. Like if I'm seeing like a foggy meadow and then like the sun coming in, I'm always like, oh my gosh, like God is so good, that's so cool. But I guess tangibly, there was this time when I was in Austria, there's an elderly couple, and they were sitting in this garden together, and there was nobody really around except for our little group that was like going behind them. And they sat down and they were just like looking and pointing at the garden, and I remember taking a photo of that from behind, and I remember just being like, wow. Like, I don't know, I feel like I learned something about God and his relationships with people through like their little moment together. and the sun was rising. They were looking at the garden. It was so, I don't know, it was so cool. I always think about that photo and I'm like, aw, like they were just sharing a moment together, and like God wanted to like share that moment with me in a way, and it was just kind of like cool to see that. I don't know.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so a common thing that we've seen come up in today's world is artists are having a hard time to find motivation and like actually be passionate about what they're doing, and just continuing doing their work without the passion behind it and without the motivation behind it. Have you ever felt like there was a time when you were struggling to be motivated or passionate about photography, and you were just doing it just to get it done and to have more shots?
Yeah, I think, and this would be my advice to it's like my advice to myself and my advice to any other like artist in general, I guess, is the times where I haven't had motivation have been when I'm like we were saying earlier, trying to like fit a certain mold of like, oh, this is what's like popular, or this is what people really like, or this is what I think people really like just doing what you're actually passionate about and like what you find, and honestly, like people do not take the time to actually think what they're interested in their art. They just like immediately like, I want to create art. Okay, well, what's art that's like cool, and what's art people like? I'm gonna do that, let's go for it. And then that's where their motivation just declines. It's like taking a lot of time for myself to be like, what do I like, what do I find like a love of the art in, a passion in, and then being like, okay, this is unique to me, and that's kind of where my motivation goes way higher. And like, that's where I find my motivation, I would say. And just like finding what's authentic to your art and not like trying to fit a mold anywhere is where I think real motivation comes from. I think like you're not actually gonna follow through with something if deep down you're like, but this isn't really my idea. You know what I mean?
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think that goes for everyone when they're passionate about something.
Yeah.